Hello and welcome to Old People This Week. My name is Jeff, and that ne'er-do-well man of low character, that's Mike. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, everyone.
We are your hosts. Old People This Week is a podcast for people who are 60 years and over. So if you're under 60, you can show yourself the door or hang around. You'll probably learn something. This is a safe haven, a place for our community, because we deliver up the latest stories for you so that not only for your health and safety, but they'll make you sound smart this weekend when you're hanging out at the golf course playing parcheesi, at the sewing bee, or as Mike and I do, spend every waking moment we can at happy hour. That's where we do all of our research. Isn't that right, Mike?
That's exactly right. And by the way, for those of you who are new subscribers this week, Jeff and I will be hosting an unlimited martini hour at our favorite hangout. If you can make it there at your own expense, the drinks are on us.
You may have to fly out, but that's okay.
It'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it. Yeah, we had happy hour last week, didn't we? When Friday we hung out and
Yeah, it was great.
nice. Yeah, and the best part of it was I didn't have to pay. It was sort of a version of the senior scam that I'm going to talk about later in this podcast. Of course, before we start, there's always a little business. We need you to subscribe, and if you're not going to subscribe, then please send us an email. Either one would be great. The subscription, of course, will help us someday sell ads and make us rich. And the emails is how we communicate with you. We want to know what you're thinking, what you think about us, what you think about the podcast, and send us something. Send us an idea, send us a video. We'll use it because we need content. And that's drives us every week.
Yeah, large checks are welcome as well.
Yeah, I think that somebody would send us some money. The big story this week, of course, and we would be bereft if we didn't mention it, because you'd have to be living under a rock not to have heard about it, has to do with the English princess, Kate Middleton. Now, Mike, you know who this is because you're sort of an Anglophile. I know that your wife told me that on your bedstand you have a picture of King Charles III.
Right. I do. He's one of the only people I know who has ears bigger than mine. But yeah, he's quite a guy.
Well, King Charles III was actually better known to all of us as Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, who was married to Princess Diane, and they had two kids. One of them was William, and he's now the Prince of Wales, and he married this person, Kate Middleton. And then there's Harry, who got married to an American actress by the name of Meghan Markle.
Right.
So that's the family setup. Now, over in England, they follow these people like you can't believe. If you think celebrities over here in America are there's some attention paid to them, well, it's nothing compared to what the English media does with the royal family over there. Every single facet of their life, every detail is splayed out across not only the tabloids like it was in the old days of when you were leaving your supermarket, you see the tabloids, but in social media and of course in all these thousands of websites devoted to what they are up to.
Yeah, it's a whole industry over there. I mean, it's a frenzy that never dies down.
Yeah, and it's so bad that, for example, well, with Harry, in Harry's case, he and Meghan had enough of it. Probably within the first couple of years they were married, and they bolted England, and they are now living in Montecito, California, amidst the rich, super rich up there in a monster mansion, and they don't even go to England unless they have to.
Why would you go from Montecito to England unless you picked one of the 3 days a year when the sun was out? No.
Yeah. No, but Montecito, you can run over to Oprah's house for dinner if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at any rate, this coverage is the people who are left in England to actually perform all the royal duties are King Charles, his wife, Kate, and William, and then and Princess Anne, who's the sister of King Charles. So they handle everything, and so the scrutiny on them is intense. It's more intense than ever because there's not a ton of family for them for the media to concentrate on. And just to show you the level of this, so Kate Middleton, how she came up is that they really glom onto her. Well, in December, she shows up at Christmas for a church in Norfolk, England, with the hubby, and the kids, and then sort of goes underground, which almost immediately makes those people crazy. She had announced that mid-February, February 17th, she was going to have abdominal surgery, and stays out of touch from December all the way through February. Then is brought secretively over to the hospital, and then is in the hospital for almost a couple weeks, recovering, and then spirited back to Windsor Castle. And nobody sees her, nobody knows what's going on. And then the rumors start is what happened in the hospital. What did she actually have done?
Yeah.
And it gets worse, and every day it gets more. The level just gets ratcheted up, and then the public's need for information about Kate's whereabouts and recovery reached a fever pitch the first week of March. At that time, TMZ, those famous American, by the way, paparazzi, published a picture of Kate in a car with her mother, but it's so grainy and they blow it up and you can't really see her. But that had been the first time that anyone saw her since her hospitalization, and that just got everybody even more nuts. Like, what is she doing? Why isn't she making any public appearances? And then on March 10th was the next big watershed moment in this yarn, which is British Mother's Day. Kate releases a family photo, and immediately people go nuts because there's something wrong with the photo. It's a picture of her and her 3 kids, but it's clearly been retouched. There's a picture. They do a close up of the arm of her daughter, and it doesn't match. It's like it looks like it was severed or something. And this is not, these people have all the media stuff. They could have had it done professionally, but so people went crazy. What is she doing? And she apologized. The next day, Kate comes out and says, like many amateur photographers, I occasionally edit or experiment with editing. I want to express my apologies for any confusion the family photographed we shared that it might have caused. So anyway, so then again, now there's 2 more weeks of insanity when she again vanishes. There's a video of her and William at a shopping mart, but wait a minute, when they blow the picture up, the woman might not really have been her.
It's not her. It's clearly not her.
And so that speculates, like, who's William seeing? And then the press goes really crazy, and then they're basically ripping into her by this point, saying that she had cosmetic surgery, a butt lift, and then and a rumor of an affair based on the fact that when they blew up that picture, it wasn't her. Or there may have been a security breach at the hospital when somebody tried to break in and get the records to find out what kind of procedure she had. And then the all-time classic rumor was that she had actually donated a kidney to King Charles.
No.
So, and then Friday was the bombshell. Mike, tell everybody what happened last Friday.
In a very touching and sincere video, explains to the world that she in fact has cancer. And of course, sets all the gossip mongers back, puts them in their place, and makes it all understandable, and of course creates unending waves of sympathy for her, because that's clearly hell to go through. And so it was kind of a FU moment, indirectly, but sad news nonetheless.
Yeah, sad news, and it shows you how hypocritical the media is over there. They spend months literally tearing her down, and then, of course, once they find out she's now ill and going into chemotherapy, there's nothing but and
Yeah,
a tidal wave of sympathy that they're pouring out as though they, that
yeah,
they're, it, what it comes to mind for me is that the media is just horrible everywhere now. I think my adult life, the last third of my life, has been seeing this media wave of in America, it's all based on politics, and seemingly in England, it's all based on just tabloid. But
yeah.
it's become terrible.
Well, and I think it's a lingering effect from the whole tragic story of Diana.
I've watched all the shows. I know The Crown intimately. I watched it like a
Yeah,
madman. I don't know why, but it was a great drama, and she certainly becomes a sympathetic character. Also because Charles treated her like crap,
yeah,
and her, but she comes off like a saint, and at the end of the day, it did start this frenzy that continues to nowadays. It's like Kate has to walk in her shoes, and she has to also take on not only the virtues but also to take on the load.
and it doesn't hurt that she's a beautiful woman too. So,
Yeah.
you know, they, they always have a pleasant subject to photograph.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to segue into something that we haven't talked a ton about because we've tried to stay away from some of the AARP topics on this podcast, but we're going to get into some of the crimes against seniors.
Yeah. Well, they're getting more sophisticated, and the crooks are getting better at it. So it's a good topic.
I don't understand though, but all right, well, let's give credit to the crooks. They're sophisticated, they're smart, and they know what they're doing. But it's
Yeah.
also what happened to our generation. Our boomer people have become stupid as they got older too.
Yeah.
When did we become so vulnerable? I mean, our generation. I'm talking people that were born, say, post World War II up until the '64, whatever it is. Pretty cynical. Been through the Vietnam War. Had Richard Nixon as president, for Christ's sake. I mean, you'd think
Yeah.
we wouldn't be so gullible, and yet here we are, and there is nothing but a long stream of crimes being brought against us. And I'm going to go through these next four carefully because they're a warning to everyone out there.
Yeah. And they're happening right now as we speak.
Yeah, the phone will probably ring here in a minute. Somebody be a prince from Nigeria asking me for money. The first one is the timeshare cartel cons. So first the cartels mastered drug trafficking, then avocados, real estate, and construction companies. Which, by the way, I had to go back to say what does the drug cartel have to do with avocados? But evidently they're controlling. They've cornered the market on, and that's why they're so expensive. But now the drug cartels are moving in on seniors and timeshares. How? Simply, the cartel employees posing as sales reps call timeshare owners offering to buy back their investments for generous sums, and once you say yes, they demand upfront fees for anything from listing advertisements to government fines, and they persuade you to wire large sums of money to Mexico, as much as hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then they disappear. So somebody calls you up and they say, no, or here's the first thing. You were stupid enough to buy a timeshare.
Timeshare.
Well, guess what?
No.
In a few years, you're like, we got to make this trip, and the dates kind of shift, and we can't sell them back. We can't trade them off. So I got to sell this timeshare. Well, nobody will buy these timeshares. Nobody wants to get in that. And you can't find anybody who will take it off your hands. So when somebody calls you on the phone and says, hey, you paid $100,000 for that timeshare, we'll give you $200,000 for it. You're thinking, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Deal.
Good deal. Done deal. All you have to do is send us this money for fees. Then we'll list it for sale, and there's government fines you're going to have to pay, and send us a check for $50,000, and we'll take care of it. And then money's gone. They go after seniors evidently because seniors when they get to a certain age, like us, you want to leave as much money to your families when you pass. So you're thinking, I'm going to sell all my assets. So they're desperate to get rid of these timeshares. And guess what? This is what happens to you. So I'm going to tell you the solutions. I'm not only going to tell you the problems. Mike and I are going to tell you the solutions. Number one, don't buy a timeshare. If you're one
That's
of the
the
people,
that's the original scam.
that's the original. Yeah, right. You got scammed already. Number two, don't answer the phone. If you have a timeshare, give it to your kids. Let them deal with it. There's a common denominator in all these, and that's sort of the phone is in all of them.
Yeah.
Number two is the gold bar scam. You get a call from somebody saying that they're a federal investigator, so that's going to scare you right off the bat. And they tell you the thieves are trying to raid your bank account, and then they say, well, in order to protect yourself, you buy these gold bars. We take care of the gold bars. We put them in like an escrow. We keep them for you. And then when after this has been investigated and your accounts are safe, then we send you back either the gold bars or the money. Well, this woman who lives in suburban Maryland is one of, not just her, but the thousands of people that have fallen for this scam. She spent $789,000 to buy gold bars.
Just
Now,
happened to have it lying around in her account.
you can imagine how long it took her and her husband or however to get $789,000 in the bank, and then she sent it to these guys who persuaded her over the phone again that they were federal investigators and that she needed to protect herself. Well, she went to the cops. Now, most of the people who get scammed do not go to the cops because they're ashamed. So the cops used her to set up a sting. They had her get in contact with the guy who sold her the gold bars, and she said, "Oh, I need more gold bars." And this guy,
Great.
this guy was so greedy. He said, "Okay." So she persuaded him to come to this. She lives in a leisure world
With $800,000 in her bank account.
in suburban Maryland. So she persuades the guy to come and meet her at the leisure world in the parking lot. By the way, a cop dresses up as her, wears a mask on her face. The cop does because she's not old enough, but so she thought he could cover up with a gray wig and stuff. The guy shows up, and they arrest him. And his name, I'll tell you what his name was. His name was Wen Hui, Wenhui, son. He was 34 years old from Lake Forest, California.
Terrific.
So the gold bar scam. Now I'm going to tell you a solution to this. Number one, don't answer the phone. There's no other solution. And this goes back to the first one, don't answer the phone. There's no reason, by the way, if you're over 65 years old to be answering the phone, unless on that photo ID it's either your spouse, your child, or your best friend. Mike, you call me. Do I ever pick up the phone?
Never.
You know why? Because you might be scamming me. I half trust that you're going to call me up someday and ask me to buy some gold bars.
I know where you live.
You'll keep my gold bars in your basement.
That's right.
And you'll give them to me when my accounts are not been hacked. Number three is the sweepstake and lottery scams. The sweepstake scam is one that many people are familiar with.
Yeah.
Good. Here, scammers call an older adult and tell them they've won a lottery or prize of some kind. If they want to claim their winnings, the older adult must send cash, money, or gift cards up front, sometimes thousands of dollars worth to cover supposed tax and processing fees. Scammers may impersonate a well-known sweepstake organization like the Publishers Clearinghouse to build trust amongst their targets. Of course, no prize is ever delivered. Sometimes the fraudsters are able to convince the older adult to send even more money by telling them their winnings will arrive soon. Many can continue to call people for months and even years after defrauding them out of an initial sum of money. So if I got a call and says, "Hey, Jeff, you've won the Publishers Clearinghouse, you've won 50K. All you have to do is send me a check because there's processing fees. Oh, how much is that? Well, you send $10,000 and it's all taken care of and you win 50, so you're going to net 40. Well, it's a scam. Yeah, people fall for it. And
They
again,
do.
there's one solution for this, only one. Don't answer
the phone.
If you're over, again, if you're younger and you're watching this and you have parents or grandparents and they're over 60, 65, 70, number one rule, don't answer the phone. Grandpa and grandma, don't be stupid. And if somebody calls you and you don't know who it is, then, tie us in. We'll come on the phone with you and maybe help you out. Because I don't know what it is, because somehow our aging brains we're okay with people telling us what to do on the phone. Okay, I will send money.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it. And the last one, and this is a classic, is called the "Can you hear me" scam, which I had never heard of before. This is new to me. I've never had this happen to me. I've had almost all touched by these other scams at one point or another, or had friends or who'd had been tried to be scammed with these other ones, but this one was new, which is a voice signature to authorize unwanted charges on items like stolen credit cards. So somebody will call you and they'll say, "Can you hear me?" And you'll answer, "Oh yeah, yes, I can," or "Yes." And then they clip that audio, and then the scammers use that little bit of audio to authorize charges on items like stolen credit cards. So meaning, I had to try to figure out how they would do this, but they have stolen credit cards and they want to use them, and in order the number works, but they have to get an authorization from the place where they're using to buy from, and then they use that voice recording to say yes, and in some cases they'll authorize it. So there's only one solution to this, and you know what that is, Mike.
Don't answer the phone.
And if you do, be sure don't answer if someone says, "Can you hear me?"
Or if they say, "Is this Mike or is this Jeff?" Because your instant response usually would be, "Sure, yeah, it is."
Yeah, don't answer the phone, fool. Again, I don't understand where our generation went so awry, got so crazy, got so stupid, got so afraid, not afraid, but so vulnerable that these scam artists are just ripping us off.
Yeah, and it's clearly, I mean, these guys know the science.
Well, they're incessant on the phone. I've heard recordings before on YouTube of people who are not getting scammed, but actually pretend like they're being scammed, and they record the calls and stuff. And the scammers are very good and insistent. They never let you hang up the phone.
Oh,
It'll go for, these phone calls will go for over an hour, just a sort of gentle bantering and berating a little bit, and insistence, and where they get you to where you can't answer until you've said what they want to hear, which is, "Yes, I'll send you money. How much?"
My wife and I were out to dinner with some friends, and the wife of the friends we were out to dinner with got a phone call from her mother, and her mother was panicked because she had gotten a phone call from the police in New Jersey claiming that they had the grandson in jail, and it would be $9,000 to clear him and get him out of jail.
Yeah.
I said, "Where's your son?" And she said, "Well, he's in Mexico on vacation." I said, "Good. Call him. Make sure he's still there."
Yeah, then he's not in a New Jersey jail.
Yeah, but she was literally ready to send $9,000.
But that was only for $9,000. This other lady before we were talking about was $769,000. So 9,000 is one thing. Of 760, it's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, here's another scam, but it doesn't fall into, fortunately for being done against older people like us. This is a scam that's being put on to younger people, in my opinion, which is this 4-day work week. They're talking a lot in Congress about mandating a 4-day work week, or at least making it an option for many companies. You tell people that they're only going to work 4 days a week. That's 1 day a week. They're just going to be lazy and getting into trouble.
And not getting paid.
And that's the other thing, is I believe that the companies down the road would just say, "Hey, you're working 4 days a week. We're only going to pay you for 4 days a week."
Yeah.
There was no 4-day work weeks where I came from.
Yeah. Now, if you weren't working 6, something was wrong.
That didn't mean we worked, every hour of every day. Matter of fact, like any human beings, we tried to squirm our way out of working as much as we could, but at least we were somewhere doing something for 5 to 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how that works out. Fortunately, we don't have to worry about that because we're retired, at least I am, and so I don't have to work any days a week except this call, which has become work.
You poor thing. You
Yeah.
poor thing.
I was to our media where we always talk about what we're screening and what other people should screen. There's a Netflix has gone big in the sense that they are paying they've paid $20 million an episode for a show called Three Body Problem, which explores how a young woman's fateful decision in 1960s China reverberates across space and time to a group of brilliant scientists in the present day. And it's supposed to be really good. So if you get a chance, watch The Three Body Problem.
Sounds like sci-fi.
It is. It's
Sci-fi
sci-fi
today.
extraterrestrial. My wife loves that stuff, so we'll be glued to the set. It just started. I think it actually just started the other day, so we're going to get into it now and see. And I'll let you know how it turn if it is good as they advertise it to be.
Okay.
We usually get to close to the end of the show. We talk about some person doing a bonehead thing in Florida. It has been occasionally somebody doing a bonehead thing in other states, but it's almost always Florida, and it's almost always a man. And I thought I stumbled onto this story because it said that there's a story about a guy who had made this homemade floating structure in South Florida in a place called Riviera Beach. And it was made up of a modified shipping container and had like French doors on it, and had he made it like with a porch on it. It was the most ridiculous looking thing, and the city went after him and said that he was this structure was dangerous, and it was in the waters without authorization. It was a violation of this River and Harbors Act down there in Florida, and so they ordered him to get rid of it. And the city actually did. They scuttled it. Well, he actually sued them, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. But what's amazing about this story is that his name is FANE LOZMAN, FANE LOZMAN, LOZMAN. And I thought this guy was just one of our typical losers down in Florida. But it turns out he's pretty famous, actually. And he is what they call, many descriptions bestowed upon this FANE LOZMAN over the years include political gadfly, relentless opponent of public corruption, and bored rich guy always spoiling for a fight. He's the guy who shows up at every city council meeting, and in his 3 minutes that's allotted for him to talk, he talks loudly, and he goes crazy, and he accuses everybody on the city council generally of being corrupt, to the point where he offered a $50,000 reward for dirt on local politicians and taunted them at a ribbon cutting with an airplane flying overhead, saying with a streamer that said "adios" trailing in the background. So he's not only been, this guy, this FANE LOZMAN, has not only had cases brought to the Supreme Court once, but now twice.
Twice. Holy cow.
So he went into another city council meeting, and his 3 minutes of talking time came up, and he got up there and he started ranting and raving, and one of the council people had him arrested.
Oh.
And he was handcuffed there. He's taken out, arrested, spent the night in jail.
My God.
Next day, he filed suit, and now this has been going on for years. This happened before the other, and it's a First Amendment issue. The ACLU has taken it up, so now it's going to the Supreme Court because he's saying it's my right to get up there and rant and rave no matter what I say. It should be covered by the Constitution.
Well, yeah.
By the way, somebody asked him, where's the name FANE come from? He goes, it's short for profane.
I gotta love a guy like that.
Yeah, I do too. We give crap to a lot of these guys from Florida and their antics, but this guy, I gotta hand it to him. He's pretty interesting. For the final story of today, Mike, I was going to talk to you about funeral potatoes.
Yeah, I'm very worried about your inspiration at times.
Well, the inspiration, I saw this thing, and evidently they're a concoction, what they call a casserole, with cheese and all kind of stuff in it. It looks like it'll give you a heart attack the minute you bite into it. But it's the kind of thing that is given to you after a loved one dies and you're at the house and people start bringing casseroles over.
Yeah.
Well, they have one. It's so popular. It's called the funeral casserole. But that is not the final story of the day. The final story today is it's probably based on someone who ate some funeral potatoes. But a woman named Miranda Hill, again, I think she's from Florida because she boarded a cruise ship called the Carnival Elation down in Florida for a family trip for 5 days. She was actually with her boyfriend's family. She believes she got seasick on this thing and noticed something strange. My throw up was bright blue, and I have never eaten anything blue. And every time I look up blue throw up, it has to do with poisoning. Then she said that one of her family friends reportedly threw up a live parasite.
Oh, good.
Ugh.
I want to go on that cruise.
What cruise? These cruise ships got the bad rap. You can go on the cruise ship, and if you're on you're in it basically in a traveling petri dish, so you can get sick.
Yeah.
Or your husband or wife is going to throw you over the side when you're drunk and collect the insurance money.
I see these pictures of these cruise ships. 7,000 rooms with strangers.
Yeah.
You're going to get sick. There's no question about it. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, it's like being stranded on the world's smallest island with thousands of people you don't want to be with usually.
Yeah, you would never want to be with on dry land, but you're on the ocean. No. So this Miranda Hill, the classic part about it was that she said that she and her boyfriend got a $95 cruise credit to use on a future trip. So I think that they faked a blue vomit. They faked a parasite. And why? For a $95.
$5. Yeah. Don't answer the phone.
Don't answer the phone. Look, those cruises cost thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So $95. What's $95 going to get you?
That's dinner. That's dinner for two.
Dinner for two. Right. But even in a credit, right? Even if your meals are free or all inclusive and all that, even the $95 it's not going to get you much on a cruise. So, no. Miranda, God bless you. I hope you enjoy your $95. And Mike, I'll see you at happy hour.
You're buying, by the way.
We'll see. You may get a phone call before that with some raspy voice, guy trying to convince you to buy $95 worth of gold bars. Then I'll use that money to buy you drinks.
Or you'll remind me that I still haven't paid you my debt for losing the Academy Award bets.
Oh, that's right. You owe me money. I'm going to subtract that.
But that's for another time.
All right, Mike, take care. Adios, amigo.
Do the same. Adios. Bye, everyone.